Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be answering the question, what should I be practicing on guitar? You know, and especially for beginners, this is something that I've heard from beginner students for years. It's like, what the heck should I be practicing? So if you're learning guitar on your own and you don't have a teacher giving you things to practice, that can be really confusing. So today we're going to go over that and start answering that question for you so that when you sit down to practice, you have a good idea of what to do. So here's the things I think you should be practicing. Number one, riffs, songs, and solos. So when it comes to playing guitar, the main reason why we start playing guitar is because we want to play our favorite music, right? For me, I was wanting to play Beatles records and Green Day records and stuff like that all the time. And so a lot of my practice when I was starting out was playing the songs that I liked. And luckily today, because of the internet, it's really easy to find ways to find songs that you want to be able to play. So I think personally, this is the number one most important thing for you to be practicing, because music is a language. And if music is a language, then songs are the way that we learn what other people say. And so that way we can learn what other people are saying, and that helps us clarify our own language and how we speak. So when you're learning other people's songs, you are equipping yourself and giving yourself the tools that they use for you to be able to use in your own music. So that's number one. Make sure that you are always working on learning riffs, songs, or solos. Some of that stuff, okay? And that's also a really good way to keep yourself inspired. When you're feeling stuck in a rut, go find a new song that you'd like to learn and start working on it, or a new solo, or the riff to a new song, whatever it is. And that is a really good way to stay inspired, is to keep looking for those. But do make sure that you're doing what I've talked about before in other videos. Make sure that you learn the whole song. That's going to actually make you a lot better when you play for people if you can play the whole song. So make sure you're doing that. Hey guys, really quick, if you are enjoying this video about what to practice, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. But thank you so much for being here and watching this, and for subscribing. You are awesome. Now let's get back to what to practice. Now the next thing that you're gonna have to work on is your own playing technique. And we can split your playing technique into two different categories. You're gonna have rhythm guitar and lead guitar. Now, most people, when they start out learning rhythm guitar first, and they start with open chords on the guitar. And that is primarily gonna be working on strumming stuff. And that's good. When you're working on your open chords, this is good because it gives you a foundation that you're going to use all across the fretboard when you go into like bar chords and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to your chords, there are different things that you can do with your chords too. You're going to probably be working on strumming like a lot of people do. That's pretty normal, and it's important to develop your sense of rhythm and your sense of timing and to feel the beat. That's gonna be good for you to work on. Another thing that you're gonna be able to do with your chords is work on picking patterns. So using your pick and actually picking out patterns within the chord. This is technically playing arpeggios, okay? And this is what people will do when they're first playing arpeggios, is actually just take open chords and play picking patterns with them like this. And that's a great thing for you to do to develop that picking hand. Now, the other thing that most people will do with chords when they're working out is finger picking. So learning how to... And there's a ton of stuff that you can do with finger picking too. Now, maybe that's not in your set of goals, is to be able to play songs that use finger picking, but that's cool. It's one of those things that if you want to practice that, you can. And it would fit under working with your chords. So as far as rhythm guitar stuff goes, most of that is going to be covered under your chords, your strumming, finger picking, picking patterns, stuff like that. But then on top of that, another section of your playing technique for lead guitar playing is going to include playing arpeggios and scales. Now, I mentioned with arpeggios with chords where you're doing a picking pattern. But when you're doing arpeggios for lead playing, we're more worried about where different arpeggios sit on the fretboard and how they relate to each other, how the arpeggios interact. So that's more being able to find arpeggios all over the neck. So you can go, okay, here's C. I have a C arpeggio here. I have a C arpeggio here. I have a C arpeggio here. And being able to do that with all sorts of stuff. And then also being able to play through chord progressions and use them for playing lead stuff. And then you start to combine it with different scales and phrasing and things like that. So arpeggios are going to be an important part of your lead playing. And then you're also going to want to practice scales. Scales are going to cover the whole fretboard, and it gives you a framework to use when you're writing melodies, or you're writing songs, or you're writing your own solos, or improvising off the top of your head. Scales act as the way that most people will spend a lot of time working on those and use that as the framework for a lot of the stuff that they do. In my personal opinion, I think arpeggios are more important than scales. I think when you understand how arpeggios work, scales kind of become the steps between the arpeggios. But for the most part, you're going to learn both. You're going to want to work on arpeggios and you're going to want to work on scales. Now, as far as lead playing goes, for lead guitar stuff, the other area that you're going to want to work on is phrasing. Now, phrasing is a lot more about how you play notes as opposed to what you play. So while you may be using arpeggios and scales as the framework to play things, phrasing is going to affect how you play it. So instead of just taking a scale and playing it up and down, what you're going to do is you're going to use phrasing to affect how you play it. And that'll change everything that you do and make it so that you have options on how you play those notes. And phrasing really is the thing that makes you sound like you as a guitar player. Now, quick point, as you're learning riffs and songs and solos, you're learning the phrasing vocabulary of other guitar players, which then you can practice that vocabulary as practicing the different phrasing that they use in their solos and add it to your own vocabulary or change it up and add your own flavor to it. The way that most people get good at lead guitar is they learn, for example, a B.B. King lick and an Albert King lick, and they put their own twist on it, and suddenly you've got an Eric Clapton lick, right? That's just kind of how it goes. That's what Eric Clapton said when he was talking in an interview when he played in Cream, and that's what most people do, is you learn the vocabulary of your favorite guitar players, you put them together, you mix them up, you put your own twist on it, and that's where you develop your own phrasing. So phrasing is probably the most underrated and most important part of your lead playing. So as far as your technique goes, you've got your rhythm playing, you've got your lead playing. Now, the other things that you're going to want to be covering is music theory. Now, as a beginner, what music theory should you be focused on? Well, honestly, the number one thing that you can do is start memorizing the notes on your fretboard. Now, I know when you look at the fretboard, we've got 6 different strings. You've got 20 to 24 different frets, right, on each of those strings. That's a lot of potential notes. But here's the good news. There's only 12 notes. That's all that there is. It's just those 12 notes repeat at higher and lower pitches. So, for example, I have an F note right here. I have another F note right here. I have another F note right here, right? And I can just keep going. And I have all these different F notes across the fretboard. And learning that it's only 12 notes and they repeat in the same order, you're just starting on a different place on each string. Now, the good thing about that, though, is as soon as you're learning these notes on the guitar, it's going to make it easier for you to learn your chords. It's going to make it easier for you to learn arpeggios. It's going to make it easier for you to learn scales and to see how all of that interacts together. That's going to be why that is so important. So I've done another video on how to memorize the notes. If you want to check that video out, here is the link to that one for you. I think that this is one thing that if you just spend 5 or 10 minutes a day for your warm-up of your practice and you just memorize some notes, it's going to be one of the most beneficial things to you because it starts to unlock the entire fretboard. Too many guitar methods and teachers stick right down here to your low 4 frets. And I think that's wrong. I think you need to get all over the fretboard right away, because otherwise the fretboard seems like some mysterious thing because you weren't shown, where to go on the fretboard. But if you start studying a little bit of music theory and memorizing the notes on your fretboard, it opens up the whole fretboard really quick, and it's not as intimidating or confusing as most people will make it out to be. So go check out that video on how to memorize the notes. I'll also put the link down in the description below. Now, the last area that I think you as a beginner should be practicing is your creativity. Now, this is something that a lot of people will wait for a long time. They'll wait way too long before they start getting creative on the guitar. And I think that's a mistake. I think music being a language, we need to start being creative and creating our own music as quickly as we can. So that means when you learn a new chord, what you should do is start writing a song with that chord. I don't care if it's a 20-second song or a 3-minute song. It's not gonna be a #1 hit. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself, but take that chord and start writing a song. Or for the most part, most people are learning multiple chords when they start out. Start putting those chords together in ways that you like and start writing your own music, whether you're humming a melody over the top of it or you're just enjoying playing the rhythm part and strumming the chords or picking the chords or whatever it is. I think that you need to be creative right away. So songwriting and being creative to start writing your own music as quickly as possible is important. If you're not already working on being creative by writing your own songs, you can get started today doing that. Just write a very simple thing. Take any chords that you know, play your own strumming pattern, play your own picking pattern, decide how long you're gonna play each chord, what chords you're gonna play next, how many times you're gonna repeat your chord progression, whatever it is, start putting it together and creating your own music. You don't need anything special. You don't need anything grand. You just need to start engaging the part of your brain that's creative using the stuff that you already know. And then as you learn new things, go be creative with that right away. So whether that's writing a song or the other area of creativity that you should work on is improvisation. Now, this is a great thing to do when you're learning arpeggios and scales, is instead of trying to write a song, which you still can do with these, usually it's good to turn on a backing track or record yourself playing a couple of chords or a drone track or something like that and start improvising with that new scale or the new arpeggio that you're learning and using it creatively. Doing that is going to help you learn it way better, way faster, way deeper. And so creativity is something that too many people skimp out on. But I think that you should start being creative with everything that you learn right away, because it's going to help you learn it better. And the more that you're creative and you're writing songs and you're improvising, the more you do it, the better you get. You're going to have to write 1,000 really crappy songs before you get to the really good ones that are already there inside of you. You just got to write a bunch of crappy ones to get to the good ones and let them come out. So guys, those are the different areas that I think you should be practicing. But does that mean that you have to do all of these different things every day in every practice session? No, it doesn't at all. It's gonna depend on, one, what your goals are, what you want to be able to do on the guitar, what style of music do you want to play, what guitar players do you aspire to be like, right? That's going to determine a lot of what things that you're practicing. But then also, what is your schedule? How much time do you have to practice? If you only have a few minutes to practice, I would pick one of these areas each day and work on them. If you've got a little bit more time, pick 2 or 3 areas and work on them. And the next day, pick a different 2 or 3 areas and work on them. By rotating which things you're working on too, that's gonna help keep your practice from getting boring because you're doing the same thing day in and day out. So again, the areas that you should be practicing: riffs, songs, and solos, learning to play real music. Then for your rhythm guitar, you've got chords using strumming or using picking patterns, or using finger picking. Then for lead guitar, you've got arpeggios and scales and phrasing. And then for your music theory, if you're not already doing it, you should be memorizing the notes on your guitar. And then you need to be getting creative by either writing songs or improvising. So when it comes to your guitar practice, if you focus on practicing within those areas and you're moving through those different areas at a regular, consistent pace where you're working on each one, that is going to make your life easier. And then you're also never going to run out of things to practice. One of the biggest myths about guitar playing is that guitar playing is a linear, logical method, that we start from step 1 and we go step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. But really, there's multiple areas of our playing that we advance in. And each one of these different areas is its own thing. And so you're going to be working on multiple things at once instead of one thing at a time and then moving on to the next thing. So that's it, guys. That is the different areas of what you should be practicing. And that's going to help move you forward and keep you with things to challenge yourself and growing your area of playing. But like I said, you're not going to be doing everything because it's going to be contingent on what your goals are. Maybe you don't have any desire to do finger picking. That's cool. Maybe you don't have any desire to play lead, so you don't worry about scales. That's cool, not a problem. But here's the thing. If you're ever stuck and you're going, what should I be working on? These are the different areas that you can come back to and be thinking about, what am I doing in that area of my playing right now? And is that something that I want to pursue? Not that you have to, but you get to choose what you work on. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure thing, right? So have fun with that. I hope that that helped you out and makes what you should be practicing clear. And if you've watched this far in the video, I do want to give you a gift. If you go to simpleguitar.com/top10, I have a gift there for you called the Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First, which is a guide that I've put together for you that includes 10 things that I teach beginners all the time to get them playing real music a lot faster on the guitar. So go to simpleguitar.com/top10, download that guide as my thank you to you for watching the video today, and have some fun in your practice. I really do hope that helped you out. So have an awesome day. Thanks for being here with me today, and I will catch you in the next video.